Hello everyone, back to tuning in to today's third video. Going to have a look at weather next 10 to 14 days for today's third video. Day 10 will take us to the 22nd of January. We'll be able to set up beyond map, set GFS and ECM ensembles because they run to around a couple of weeks. Have a look at CFS-V2 at the end of the video for next 4 weeks, gets us into early February. I'll get on that for you in a moment. Just say that the first video today was our 6 AM upload and also USA forecast as well. So please check out those two videos if you'd like to do that. Like, share, subscribe on the vids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Having a lovely Wednesday afternoon, evening. Right, okay, let's start off with central temperature then. So CT has ticked up 0.1 of a degree. It's sitting at 6.3 now, which is an anomaly of 2.7 degrees above average. That's provisional to yesterday, to the 11th of January. That will start dropping from here because we've got cold nights coming up. Had a cold night last night. There'll be more cold, frosty nights over the rest of this week. So that will drop down into the 5s over the next few days. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. Looking at Birmingham today, so the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Birmingham. Of course, it's starting off with above average upper air temperatures at the moment, but we are having an inversion, which means that although it's quite mild aloft, it's becoming colder on the surface. We get into next week, and the GFS ensembles are backed off that idea of the Northerly that they was playing around with yesterday from around the 17th through to the 19th or so of January. There are still a few ensemble members that are going for it. Those ones just here, but overall, more of the ensemble members now are pulling that back. Pulling back towards the long-term average. So probably just a continuation of relatively dry and rather frosty weather, I would have thought, through the early part of next week. Beyond that, we have loads of scatter continuing. So we've got these milder ensemble members up here. We've got still plenty of cold ensemble members down there. Will we get a northerly push at some point in this January? We shall have to wait and see. Precipitation-wise, lots of dry weather as well. High pressure is going to be in control of weather. That's going to keep us dry. So basically a continuation, I think, into next week of what we've had, which will be a lot of dry weather, high pressure dominating, and definitely a risk of more frost and fog probably overnight. Right, let's have a look at the sea level pressure. See what that's doing. So relatively high sea level pressure is going to continue. Around 1,040 millibars now. A little bit of a drop into the weekend. Excuse me. Go down to 1,020, and then back up between 1,030 and 1,040 millibars, through next week as well. So plenty of high pressure still to come. 2-meter temperatures look like that. But on the chilly side, there will sometimes be some quite cold nights, especially through the middle part of next week. Maybe definitely a chance of some frost. And in terms of snow row, look like that. So not much happening from a snow perspective until perhaps the last week of the month. There's a few spikes, but of course that is extended range. Temperature anomalies shall be 12th to 20th of January. Going to be a bit cold in average parts of England and Wales, a bit mild on average for Scotland. Precipitation anomalies remain significantly drier than normal. Going to be a very dry spell from the 12th to the 20th of January with high pressure in control of weather. Later info map from Northerly.net shows that high pressure is once again going to be sitting over top of the country right now. So there it is, right over top of England and Wales. And that sends the jet stream and the wind flow up in that direction. So Scotland milder than southern parts of England in this pattern, a little bit unusually so. Right, this is how you can make Euros looking for midnight on Saturday. High pressure dominates the weather and continues to do so, really, as we go into the early part of next week as well. High pressure, Tuesday back in right over top of the country. Frost and fog concerns will continue into next week. No northerly blast, you'll notice. Icon looks like that again. High pressure is in control of the weather. Pulls out to us a little bit over the weekend, so Sunday will be a slightly less chilly day for the south and a little bit more cloud, and then the high pressure will come back in again, though, as we go through into, the early middle part of next week. Can't get rid of it, can you? That high pressure will just carry on ruling the roost throughout, to the middle of next week anyway. I was going to say throughout next week. This only gets us to Wednesday, but I suspect it will carry on beyond that. So more frosty weather probably for England and Wales. Frosty fog there, milder for Scotland. GFS looks like this. Again, high pressure dominating the weather. We're high and dry into next week. It does sort of pull out to the west a little bit through the early part of next week. That's Monday, trying to introduce northerly winds, but we're on the periphery. Most of the cold air, that northerly, is going down into Scandinavia, and the high pressure's back in over top of the country through the middle part of next week. That will bring, again, risk of frost and fog. Second half of next week, high pressure pulls out to west a little bit, some slightly colder air drifting into the east side of the country, but essentially that high pressure is just rooted, anchored over top of the country, keeping it mainly dry. It will be cold, there will be frost and fog with that, so a prolonged spell of dry, cold, frosty, foggy weather, but not snowy cold weather, because, you know, the true sort of Siberian and Arctic cold is away to our north and east. Right at the very end, the high pressure finally goes far enough northwest to introduce a proper sort of northerly flow, and that could bring some snow showers into northern and east parts of the country. It finishes up over Greenland right at the very end. That's 28th of January when we put in a proper sort of north or northeasterly. We could have a cold and average January here with all of this high pressure and overnight frost, but it's not like a classic wintering month, because the high pressure is not going far enough north to pull in those proper northerly and northeasterly winds. This is how 6Z is looking. Again, we're going to have more high pressure domination really through into about next week. There will be a slight lift up in the temperature, more cloud sort of sunny to Monday, but then through the open of next week, high pressure back in over the country. That'll bring a return of both overnight frost and probably dense fog as well. Late next week, high pressure drifts out to west of Ireland. We pull in a little bit of a northerly wind into these east areas, so it does get a little bit colder into the east. But we're on the periphery of it all the time. The cold air is over northern, northeastern Europe. The cold Nordic, Scandinavia, Baltic winter is going to continue, and that cold air will plunge down the eastern side of Europe at times. We remain again under the protection of the ridge of high pressure right way up to day 10. Frost and fog will continue, particularly for Ireland, England, Wales. Scotland will always be a little bit milder with the air coming in off the Atlantic Ocean. Into the extended range with the 6Z. Again, we take that high pressure away to our west and northwest enough to allow colder air to push in from the north. There comes the minus 10 cells iceberg there on the 26th of January, and we keep the cold weather going, certainly to the north and east anyway, those northerly winds as we get to the end of the GFS 6Z. So last week of January, some properly cold air in from the north, but before that it's mainly dry, cold and frosty. GM's looking like this. If you enjoyed the video, please just smash the like button, make sure you sub to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Drop a comment, let's talk about this all of our videos. GM, again, the high pressure is dominating weather through into the early part of next week before it gradually slips away, actually going to the milder side of the high with the GM. Certainly in northern areas anyway, we begin to pull in a little bit of a westerly wind, but you see basically the high pressure going nowhere fast up to day 10 there. And the ECM also is looking very anticyclonic, high pressure back in over the country by the early part of next week after it drifts just to our west a little bit over the weekend. We do try and pull in that cold northerly, you know, sunny to Monday, but really the northerly is going into Scandinavia. High pressure does not go far enough north and west to allow that northerly in, and so we just keep high pressure fest going really right way up to day 10. Notice much of northern Europe continue to be very cold. The cold northern European winter goes on. We're just on the edges of it until we get that high pressure from like the west of Ireland to the west of Iceland. We will remain on the edges and on the periphery of that cold. We've got to get that high pressure set a little bit further north, just a few hundred miles, that's all it takes. But it can make so much difference, and this is one of those patterns where it really makes a big difference. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from TibetShow.com. We'll run through this very quick because there's not going to be much precipitation to speak of. So there we go. So we'll move on from that quite quickly. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles day 4, day 10, which get us to the 22nd of January. 27 members of the ECM ensembles will have high pressure over to the west of the country, mainly dry, anticyclonic with that. Then 24 including the control and the operation run, again with high pressure over to west of the country. Just a little bit more of a northerly to our east, so just on the periphery of cold weather. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. And this gets us to 27th of January. 23 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure in the Atlantic, low pressure over Scandinavia, possibly bringing in some cold air from the north with that. 17 with high pressure more or less where it is at day 10, only slightly to the west, so that keeps us mainly dry and frosty. But the real cold with that, of course, is up here. And then we've got 11 doing something a little bit different. They're taking the high pressure further northwestwards, and they'll probably be pulling in quite cold air from the northeast, I would have thought. So, excuse me again, once we get to the to 2 weeks out, there's a possibility we might start to get things a little bit colder. If you take that high pressure wave to the northwest. But keep in mind, I say colder, and by that I'm talking about like either northerly or easterly winds. But it will be quite cold, especially for England and Wales, over the next week to 10 days from a frost and fog type perspective. CFS finally, these are 500 millibar heights break down to week periods. The first week period will take us from the 12th through to the 18th of January. The coming week, again, is dominated by high pressure, so frost and fog, especially for the south. Week 2 is the 19th to 25th of January. High pressure just going a little bit further westwards, almost pulling in cold air from the north, but most of it with this trough of low pressure here over Scandinavia. Week 3 is going to be the 26th of January to the 1st of February, with low pressure between Greenland and Norway, high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic, winds on the northwest southeast line, so that can be unsettled and quite chilly, but not desperately cold. And then week 4 looks a lot milder. This is the 2nd to the 8th of February, high pressure pushing northwards, low pressure on Greenland, Iceland, and that brings in that west wind. This is flat as a pancake. So spring in early February. Right, we'll worry about that when we get to it. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. Make sure to sub to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. What a slow burner this winter is, isn't it? With this high pressure just rooted slightly to our west. Will it go far enough northwest to pull in those northern winds, or will we continue on the periphery right the way through January? There's going to be plenty of frost and fog with this high pressure both this week and next week, and particularly focus on England and Wales, not the Scotland, of course. There we keep westerly winds and, you know, milder temperatures going. Will we get the wind into the north in the end? Let me know in the comments what you think. Will this yield it northerly in the end? The high pressure's got to go somewhere in the end. It can't just stay, you know, in that position forever, just over and straight to West Country. It will either, in the end, go south, I would have thought, and reintroduce westerlies, or it will go north, you know, and pull down those cold northerly and northeasterlies. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen. Right, so that's it. A little bit of a shorter one today, but there's, you know, it's not a great deal for me to work with at the moment. So I suppose the videos will be a little bit shorter. You know, 10 to 14 days will be a little bit shorter until we have something really to work with. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give us a like. Make sure you sub to the channel. Tell your friends to subscribe as well. We're still trying to get ourselves 13,100 subscribers after the Christmas letdown. You know, subs dropped a lot, and they have not really recovered into the new year yet, so subs are only being put on very slow, just ones and twos a day, sometimes having negative days. So it would be nice to get to 30,100 subscribers. Please tell friends and family to subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. And yeah, you know, we'll be back tomorrow with more. We'll have the 6 to 7 a.m. upload. We shall have the European Outlook for next week, 10 days, and also 10 to 14 day video as well. So keep checking back to the channel for more. But for this video and today's video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.